The devil will take things and he'll play with your thoughts, and he'll jump in and say, oh, did you see that? Did you think this? Or this is actually what's happening. And he just throws thought and thought and thought at you. And so you're being bombarded with all this information, with all these mediums, with all these things just in your face constantly. You're absorbing everything around you. And so that is the arrows of the devil. And the way we fight back are with our own arrows. The arrow prayer.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Beyond the Wars. We are very, very blessed today to have Abuna Meena with us. Abuna, if you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Father Meena. I am a general priest in the Coptic Orthodox Church for the eastern sector of the Diocese of Sydney, which is around the St. George region of Sydney. I currently serve also at St. Mary the Coptic Orthodox Church in Pimble. I'm a newbie.
How recently ordained the one? How recently?
Recently, I'm on 5 months now.
Wow.
So I'm still on probation. I'm waiting for them to send me back to Egypt. So to get another 40 days done.
So I heard the ordination was like on the day of like your soccer league final.
Yes. How did you hear that? Oh my gosh. So it was the day of our grand final, and one of the senior members of the club was going to call the bishop and see, is there any chance we can delay until the grand final? I was very tempted on my way to the airport to pass by the game and watch and cheer for the guys, but no, it wasn't meant to be. No, they lost.
Oh.
Suckers. No, it wasn't meant to be.
So where did you spend your 40 days in Egypt?
I did my 40 days at St. Pshoi's Monastery in Egypt. It's so cool. The area we stayed in is an area called Logos, which is the papal residence in St. Pshoi's Monastery.
Oh, wow.
He's done such a good job there. It's like world class. The gardens and the churches, it's beautiful. So my room and the other priests who were with me was right next door to the Pope's room. Yeah, wow. It was really cool. He wasn't there, but it was still really cool. Yeah, he came for a few days. We spent some time with him. Wow. And that was really nice.
Yeah. Okay, so today's podcast, we're going to be speaking about spiritual warfare and overcoming temptation. If you want to get started with questions, Elise, if you want to start.
So, Bono, in movies we see like when people like having intense thoughts, they have like a devil and an angel pop up, and it's kind of like, we studied in English like the id and the superego, and like, do you believe like we have our own guardian angel and our own personal devil?
Oh, that's a good question. I know there is, I don't feel we talk about it too much in the Coptic Church, but I know in the Eastern Orthodox Church there is a strong belief in guardian angels. I believe the Catholic Church is also similar. I wouldn't say it's wrong. I think it's actually a very nice thing to have and to think about, that there is a specific angel God has assigned to take care of us, or maybe a few of us. Having a specific devil is pretty scary, though. I don't want that part. It wouldn't surprise me, but I think a better way to maybe think about it would be that in each stage of life there is a particular temptation and a particular virtue that is required. There's a particular sin that you're fighting with, and there's a particular virtue required to overcome that sin. And I think I like that a little bit better, because in each stage of life you find different things. For example, let's say throughout your teens you may be fighting with the demons of sexuality. That could be something that's on your shoulder, always whispering in your ear. And the way to combat that would be the virtues of purity and all its fullness. And so you would have constantly in one ear someone telling you, do evil in a sexual way, and someone in your other ear saying, no, stay pure. I think that's a better way to think about it, because by the grace of God, He will give you what is required if we submit to Him to overcome these temptations. But there's always another one. And so as you become an adult, perhaps the temptation is now pride on one side and humility on the other side. and you're constantly tasked with, do I give in to pride, or do I give in to being pure, being humble and humility? And again, the grace of God will come and visit you, and then you'll come with the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing.
Bruno, could you just give us like a brief overview of like spiritual warfare in general? Because is it like, are we targeted through different ways, or are there anything specific that like make our spiritual struggle harder, or like just define it for us?
Yeah. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. This is Ephesians 6:12. Anyone who tries to play down that the devil is alive and trying to destroy us, C.S. Lewis has a famous quote. He says, the devil goes about two ways. Either he convinces you to be obsessed with him, or he convinces you that he doesn't exist. And both are equally evil. And so we need to be prepared to fight the devil. He will use any tactic he possibly can. And you'll be surprised at some of the things he'll throw at you. For example, I know we mentioned before screw tape letters. There is a section where the demons are talking about, I believe it was a mother and a son relationship. And he's whispering in this guy's ear saying, did you see the way your mum said that? With that tone, with that particular high pitch, the way she said that, she really hates you. She's really angry with you. And he stirs like that. But the devil will take things and he'll play with your thoughts. And he'll jump in and say, did you see that? Did you think this? Or this is actually what's happening. And he just throws thought and thought and thought at you. And so you're being bombarded with all this information, with all these mediums, with all these things just in your face constantly. You're absorbing everything around you. And so that is the arrows of the devil. And the way we fight back up with the arrow of prayer, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, or Lord Jesus, have mercy on me, or some rendition of that. There's one arrow prayer I read recently. A young monk was asking St. Macarius, how do I pray? And St. Macarius says, there's no need for long discourses. It's enough to raise your hands and say, Lord, as you know and as you will, have mercy. And I love that. Because when we pray, sometimes we get so caught up in, God, I've got this. Did I mention this? And did I mention, I need your help with that. Please, God, this exam. And this guy's annoying me. And this person over here. And you're listing a massive list. But St. Macarius just says, you know, Lord, please, as you will, have mercy. And when we say have mercy, it's not... Sometimes we think have mercy is like, that's it. God doesn't want me to have, I'll just give it to him, that's it. But when we say have mercy, we're giving it to a God who cares about us. St. Peter says, cast your cares upon him because he cares for us. You're not giving it to someone who doesn't care. In fact, he cares about resolving it more than you do. When I see my son, he tries to ride a bike. It's so frustrating because he's just sitting on this little bike scooter thing and he's trying to pedal with his legs, but he's like, and he's looking at me and he's not moving because his legs aren't strong enough to like push the pedals. And so it's killing me. Yeah, it's annoying him, obviously, but it's killing him. Like, just push the pedals. Like, come on, hey, I really want you to go have fun. Go have fun. Why are you here? Just go have fun. I want you to enjoy yourself. You're missing out on riding your bike. Try properly, put your leg down. And so I'll go and I'll give him a bit of a boost. And so when we say, God, have mercy, that's God giving us that little boost, that little bit of momentum we need to to get going, and to attack the devil with all his attacks against us, and to fire back at him. And so that's probably just one form of spiritual warfare. There are so many books on spiritual warfare, but that is, I hope that
is good.
helps.
When you mentioned humility and pride, and I think when we look at the church, there are so many figures we can take lessons from, but I think the main one that we're going to keep coming back to is Pope Carlos, and we had his feast the other day. How can we take lessons from his humility? He was such a big figure in the church, and is known as the man of prayer, and he was silent, and his humility, brought the church to what it is today.
Yeah. I don't even know where to start with that, because what he did. If anyone hasn't read The Silent Patriarch by Father Dan, you'll really miss it. So, do I look at the microphone or do I look at the camera? Read the book.
This is for you, women.
Oh, this is me. Sorry. Read the book. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
It really sets the scene of how crazy time was. And Father Dan even watered it down a bit. It was probably a lot worse than he showed. And the solution to bringing peace to the church, and perhaps even to the whole land of Egypt, wasn't by protesting or crazy sermons or long, extensive, political meetings. He just shut himself in his room and prayed. As I'm sure you remember from the book, there were articles in the newspaper taken out against Pope Carlos. And it's very easy for the Pope to probably shut down that entire newspaper if he wanted to, as the Pope. Just one call to the President, or he could send a few words. He could have caused a revolt, said, all right, Coptic people, let's go and attack this guy. And he could have done that. But instead he chose to pray. And he did what St. Peter said. He said, cast your cares upon him because he cares for us. That's so hard to do. But that's why humility is such an incredible weapon. They say the devil appeared to one of the monastic fathers in the desert, and he said, you stay up late and pray, I don't sleep at all. You fast all day, I don't eat at all. There's one thing you have that we can't touch that completely dispels all of this, and that's humility. And so Pope Carlos really implemented this humility and destroyed his enemies. So much so that the win he gained is still rippling throughout the church now. Like, we are in a school in Sydney, Australia, 50-something years later, and we have a group of maybe 17, 18-year-olds talking about Pope Carlos on a podcast. That's the impact this man has had. That's amazing. Because of his humility, his ability to pray, and his submission to God.
Bruno, does that mean that the spiritual warfare or the spiritual struggle of one person can impact the entire church, or does the person's struggle, in spiritualness, just impact themselves and their spiritual growth?
It's a good question. So there's a story of a man who, during the time of Joshua's taking over of Jericho, they just defeated Jericho, and they went to go to war against the city called Ai. Oh, that's scary. I don't know if there's something in that. And as they went to go take on this city, I think he stole something. He stole some idols. And I might be getting some of the facts wrong here, but when they went to go and war against this small place, they lost. And Josh was like, how did we lose this? Like, what just happened? And he spoke to God and goes, God, what happened? And then he found out that someone stole something, and eventually they found this guy. And the whole people were punished because this man took something that he probably shouldn't have. And so there's that story. from the negative side. But then there's also exactly the story of Christ. He says, by one man we were saved. Looking at other examples like Pope Kyrillos, the church is where it is now because of him. Heroes also like Pope Shenouda, the church has expanded dramatically because of his work and his devotion to spreading out to other lands. Yeah, I don't know, what do you guys think?
No, I agree with you. I think
it does have an impact.
it has definitely.
Because like even if you look at like modern days, like within our own lives, like your struggle could impact like your parents and your siblings, or like, you know, if you're married, your struggle could impact your spouse and your own children. It's like even within your small circle, I think it ripples down.
Yeah,
very true actually. Yeah, your own personal sin could have an impact. Like if you're an angry person and you're married,
good luck.
Your poor spouse. Good luck. Yeah, it's very true.
Fair enough.
But I like how we use the words like spiritual warfare, and I think you know the book by Pope Shenouda as well, Spiritual Warfare, and you know you mentioned Joshua going into battle. So like when we go into battle, or like we're training for something, you know, we have our armor, our resources, you know, like we train physically. So how can we do that with our thoughts, like against our thoughts?
Yeah, thoughts are a hard one. I think it's also important to realize a lot of the time thoughts aren't our thoughts. They are often fed to us, and it's our spirit that chooses to take in these thoughts or to dismiss them. Thoughts can sometimes be from the enemy, and thoughts can sometimes be from God, like a heavenly, holy thought. And it's up to us to choose which ones we let in and which ones we don't let in. Saint Paisius, he's a modern day saint from Mount Athos, a very holy monk from a monastery in Mount Athos. He says, you are like an airport, and the thoughts are like airplanes. And you get to choose which airplane lands in you. It's like flies. You can swat them away or you can leave them to land. The part that's hard is that they're so annoying sometimes. Their thoughts are so annoying. They don't stop. I think a part of that is because what we expose ourselves to. Like this. There was someone who gave a talk once on symbolism. I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy named Jonathan Peugeot. Yeah.
No.
Very deep, but he's really, really interesting guy. I think in one of his talks he actually mentions how the phone and the Apple symbol, it's not a coincidence that Apple is what was chosen, because it's also the fruit that had a bite taken out of it. This is like a portal to anything, either good or bad. And we can expose our minds to so many things. At our church, we have this thing going where every week of Lent, we take on a new line of the famous song, "Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, be careful, little ears, what you hear." And every week, we practice shutting something out. So last week, we were careful about our ears, what we were listening to, what music we were exposing ourselves to, what we were letting in through our ears. Because thoughts isn't just this made-up thing. It comes through our senses often. And so through our ears, our eyes, what are we watching? Are we watching something edifying, or is it something ungodly? I don't know, you guys are the ones struggling with like young life now. What's it like as a young person struggling with thoughts and all these mediums thrown at you?
I was definitely more prone to like compared to our parents and other generations. We have a lot more to like be careful of.
Yeah, it's tough because anything we do now, it's online. You know, we're very we're very exposed to a lot. You know, and it's hard for us to choose because I think we get everything like in one go. It's not just we don't just choose the good and then choose the bad. It's just like we see it. Like, let's say I'm on Instagram or something scrolling, it's not up to me to choose what I'm seeing. But I think that's just an example. But yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of become desensitized as well.
Yeah. I feel like even if, let's say, you're in Lent, you're not listening to like secular music, you're on SoundCloud, listening to upper room media, you like there's always some ads that are interjected, and like even ads now are like crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just have to kind of be, like you said, like an airport. And I think also we got a similar talk by Abuna David, and he was telling us like you have to be like border control, like can we pass this person? So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
But how can we discern like which thoughts are from God, which thoughts are like from the devil?
It's a good question, but we have all the tools we need inside of us. The Holy Spirit is there to guide us. Of course, if it's a thought that's always bothering you, please speak to your confession father. And having your confession father know what thoughts you're going through or you're experiencing is actually surprisingly very helpful. I mentioned this upstairs previously, but one of the best things you can do, this is from the story of, I believe it was Saint Moses. He was just getting bombarded with thoughts of his old life, Saint Moses the Strong. And he kept going to his confession father, Father Isidore. And he kept going forward, back throughout the night, multiple times. And Father Isidore gave him the advice saying that it's by telling me these things and by exposing what the devil might be feeding you that you can defeat him. But if you keep it quiet and secret, there's something about secret and hiding what's really going on that doesn't seem quite right. It's the whole lurking in shadows and hiding what's really going on inside. So if you have thoughts that you're like, I don't know about this, I might just tell my confession father, I think that's really, really helpful.
Yeah. It's quotable. If I go to my confession father, usually the main thing he gives me is memorize his psalm.
Yeah.
Like Psalm 70, memorize it. And if you're ever in that moment, repeat it. Why are the Psalms so powerful in defeating the devil?
It's more praise in general, praising God. So the Psalms are forms of prayer and praise. The devil doesn't like it. So when I mentioned Saint Macarius went to the desert, he was constantly praising God and declaring this land as God's land. And so the devil couldn't handle that. Tried to attack, but every time Saint Macarius was praising, the devils were fleeing. Because praise is an attack, a direct attack against the demons. How deep do you want to go?
Let's go deep.
So Tazbehat, midnight praises. There are sections in midnight praises that we think of as like, it's just so beautiful to hear, like things like this. But if we understand it in the context, for example, that Moses, when he wrote some of these, actually meant, it's a lot more powerful. So we know that God said to Moses that we will defeat the gods of Egypt. What are these gods? What are these gods of Egypt that we're talking about? What are they? It's so weird. And so we just take as one of those verses, it's just fancy talk, and we just keep reading. And then Moses, as he's praising because he's crossed the Red Sea, mentions things like, your right hand, O Lord, is victorious. Like in our culture, many of us might think, right hand is the strong hand, that's why. That makes sense, but it's so much deeper. And if we look at everything in the Old Testament in particular, through the lens of Christ, it takes on a whole different form. And so, the god of the Egyptians was Ra, also known as Re, as in the ray of the sun, because he was the sun god. And he had a left and right hand. And his right hand was an Egyptian god called molt, or in Arabic, mort, like death. Death was his right hand. And so when Moses and the children of Israel crossed the Red Sea, Moses sang this song on purpose because they have now defeated death. They're no longer in the realms of death in Egypt. And that God's right hand has defeated Ra's right hand, the gods of the Egyptians, who are all demons. Ra's a demon, Mort's a demon, it's all demons, okay? But his right hand has defeated death. And who is God the Father's right hand in the person of the Trinity? It is Christ. And so Christ has defeated death.
Wow.
That's good.
So your
That's
right
beautiful.
hand, O Lord, has defeated the enemies.
Very nice.
So it's very deep.
Yeah.
And so the devils can't handle this.
I think another weapon Abuna we're told to do is matanyas. Can you tell us why?
Humility. Going back to what we said before, it is a bowing down in humility. We say, Lord Jesus Christ, I'm going to have mercy on me. And in humility, you're bowing down and you're emptying everything onto Him and saying, God, it's on you. I can't do it. I know I can't do it. And because we say we can't do it, but you can, Lord, it will be done. And they can't handle that humility.
So, Wuna, how can like thoughts that may seem really small or irrelevant like bridle into something later that's uncontrollable, and like how can we stop it along the way?
Yeah, I love the Desert Fathers. They always talk about things like this, but one of them makes a comparison, and he gets a young monk and he says, try and pull this tree out. He's like, all right, and he starts pulling and obviously nothing's happening. He says, no worries, see that shrub over there? Go pull that. He's like, hey, easy, grabs it and pulls it out. He says, it's like your sin in your life, your thoughts in your life. If you stop it from now, from when it's very small and it hasn't gone too far, it won't grow into this big, immovable tree. The tree can be taken down. Any tree can be taken down. But it takes a lot more work. And so if we can identify a problem in our lives, Father Matta Miskin, so Father Matthew the Poor, another recent very, very brilliant man. He wrote some amazing books, very spiritual, very holy. He says that the first step to prayer is to say, please, Lord, show me my sins. And He will show you. But just be prepared for what He shows you. And then you can cut it out from there.
So what are some practical ways to cut it out?
So confession's obviously the first one. It's important to know that we ourselves can't stop it. It's God who can stop it. But for example, one thing I like to say is turn your head. You know, when you give something attention, it can take root in us and it can attack us. But if you don't give it the opportunity, it can't attack us. And so if you see that handsome guy walking down the street, instead of being like, oh, not bad, you could just be like, I'm just going to turn my head. Why give it attention? Don't even think about it. Or the pretty girl, it's like, oh, wow, she's so pretty. Instead of just noticing, just whatever, just look the other way. If you know your phone is going to lead you to doom scrolling for hours on end, just turn away. Don't even start it. If you know you're fasting and there's just this delicious chicken that your mum made for your younger sibling, instead of just staring at it and be like, oh man, this looks so good, just turn your head. And so turning your head has an amazing impact. And the best place to turn your head is up in prayer and down in humility through prostrations. And
That's
that's
really
a practical way, I would say, to
Abuna, when we spoke to Abuna Anthony from the monastery about something similar, and he told us that there's a reason that they give the monks in the first 10 to 15 years so much work. It's because they don't want to keep them bored, because that's the worst thing.
Yeah.
And like, I was just thinking about it. If I'm in a position where I'm always bored, what are some practical ways that can keep me, away from sin?
Oh man, come talk to me. I'll give you a lot to do. We have a lot to do in the church. Like there's so much to do at church. So the current church I'm serving at, St. Mary of Egypt, or St. Mary the Coptic, there is so much work to do in setting up a new church. Like, God has to send servants from anywhere and everywhere. Go talk to your parish priests. Trust me, there's work to do. That's one thing. The other thing, go to the gym. Go play sport. Go swimming. Go stay physically active. Your body is a gift from God. Having health is much better than having wealth. I can assure you that. And so staying healthy, and of course you have things to do. You're not bored. And you're going with friends. You can have fun. Like, it's good. But I think exercise and service are two very good things.
So maybe like during the time of year 12 and like very busy exam wise and study wise, what could like our routine be to like, be focused on studies but also situated around Christ?
It's a good question. I like starting your day with God. I think that sets the tone for the day. And you'll find people who have this routine of starting their day with God, it continues throughout the whole day. And if for whatever reason they've missed it, they get super grumpy and agitated. Abuna Anthony Mesa, I'll never forget, did I say his last name wrong?
She just loves him.
No, you love him? Yeah. He was the forefather of English sermons, essentially. We didn't see Upper Room Media and all these amazing things we've got now. We didn't have that back in the day. All the sermons were in Arabic, but he was the one who paved the way for all these things. So we all grew up listening to him. We're all big fans. One of the things he says is when he doesn't do his morning routine, the entire day is thrown off. Like, he's totally agitated. He's grumpy. He finds himself fighting with his wife and kids, and like things just don't go smoothly. And I think it's the same thing. Like, set the tone of your day, of your studies, of your classes, of everything with Christ. And if you think for a second, why am I being agitated for? Why do I react like that? Go and spend some time in prayer. It doesn't have to be long. It could be a few Jesus prayers, a few Arab prayers. But keeping him in your morning and closing off the day with him, and just find somewhere in the middle to talk to him or to read some verses from the Bible, that will make everything you do centered around Christ, naturally.
We had Abuna George on as the first guest, of course, and he was telling us when you pray, it's kind of like a banquet. Like, there's a lot of things to choose from, but you'll gravitate towards things you enjoy most. So like my servant a couple of years ago, she told me the exact same thing. Like, she always used to start her day like actually journaling to God. So like, I feel like it's, we have journaling to God, we have the Agbeya, we have prayer. And like, I feel like these are things we say, but like one of the questions is like, how do we actually pray? Like, how do we know we're praying correctly?
You'd have to understand first what prayer is. Prayer is not about standing up and reciting words. The purpose of prayer is to draw yourself into the presence of Christ and to draw nearer to him and for him to draw nearer to you. And so if journaling does that, there's no reason why that's not counted as prayer. If going for a walk in silence does that for you and you feel you're in the presence of Christ when you do that, do that. If reading the Bible does that for you, do that. Prayer is a multitude of things, and you should partake of everything in some capacity. Maybe not necessarily journaling, I can't say I've done that one. But partake of everything of that banquet. Sorry, I just went off topic again.
I just wanted to come back quickly to what we said before, where you said cut off the evil thoughts. When we say cut off, does that mean we aim to not get those thoughts at all, or do we just make sure that our thoughts don't control our actions?
Yeah, I like that. Thoughts does I feel like I've been talking the whole time. What do you guys think?
We want you to talk the whole time.
Right. Sorry.
No one wants to hear us.
No, I would say a bit of both. And remember how I said to you guys at the start, there's a certain temptation, there's a certain virtue to acquire. You'll have certain types of thoughts throughout one stage of life, and then the more you resist them, the devil will flee from you, but another one will probably come. And then those thoughts he'll try that angle. You look at the life of Saint Anthony. The devil tried everything. He tried bashing Saint Anthony. He tried women. He tried gold. He tried everything. And then in the end, nothing works. So they were like, oh, I guess I lost that one. But yeah, different thoughts, different things come, and it's exactly like you said. Whatever you let in is what will take hold of you and will try and plant itself inside of you.
You mentioned this upstairs, Abuna, but how does regular participation in the sacraments that the church gives us strengthen, our resistance against temptation?
I mean, pick a sacrament.
I love how you went through each of them.
Yeah,
with the canvas.
Yeah.
If you could go through it.
No, to be honest, I'm not sure what I said. So.
It's fine.
But yeah, I mean, baptism is we mentioned the canvas that St. Athanasius talks about. That is the painter who painted an image, and it was muddied and dirtied, and it's now the painter's job to, I guess, restore it. And the painter does this with us in participation with him through, for example, baptism, which is the washing away of all that filth and I guess the claiming of that painting as his own again, as being one with him. We have confession there to keep us in the lines and make sure we colour in correctly. We have to remember that Holy Communion is our fuel. I mentioned that everything we partake of, everything is dead or dying. For example, you pull a fruit off a tree, it's already begun to die. You use your phones, but your phones die. We might read material that infiltrates our minds, but you leave it, it's going to go brittle and fade in time. Everything we eat, we consume through our eyes, our mouth, our ears, everything fades and dies. The only thing that we consume, that we partake of, that is alive, is the body and blood of Christ. And he who eats of him, who partakes of him, has eternal life, because they have consumed of eternal life. And the famous saying, you are what you eat. When we eat Christ, when we eat of life, we partake of life. And so the mysteries of the church are set up for success for us. And by partaking of them, that's how we defeat any spiritual warfare. And not just defeat warfare, but take the war out to the whole world and help others win that war as well. I remember my confession father, Father Gabriel, back when I was at Archangel Michael Church, serving there. He has an example. There's a super hot day and there's a pool and you see the water, it's beautiful. It's like perfect temperature and you're so hot. And instead of jumping in, you just walk around it. You just walk around it. There's no benefit. There's no benefit. Jump in. That's what the mysteries of the church are there for us to partake of Christ. We jump into that water and we're refreshed and we're given life. And sometimes it's easy to just take it for granted, or maybe not mean it as much. And that's okay. But we need to constantly remind ourselves to go back to the truth of it all, the gravity of it all. Yeah.
I really like the pool analogy. It reminded me of something Abuna Anthony Sharkawi told us one time. It's the complete opposite. But he told us if there's a massive hole in the ground and you see it, why would you go tiptoe near it? You know, it's stupid for you to tiptoe near it. It's the same with sin. Like if there's like a sin, why would you put yourself in situations that'll make you more vulnerable to sin?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Spiritual warfare is a big topic. What are some of what is probably the biggest attack you would say the devil has against young people today?
I think sexual sin.
Yeah.
It's the biggest one, I think. And at this age, probably like gossip and all that stuff. But yeah.
It's probably not just this age, to be fair. That one's everywhere.
But I feel like the biggest thing is like not just the sins themselves, but like the normalization of them, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's like sins that we don't notice that we do, like just
Yeah.
minor things in life that we just accept as
normal. Yeah. It's so funny. Look at the devil's so annoying.
Actually, when you were mentioning it, like the first time, like we kind of like picture the devil as an entity was like when we were in the Philippines, and instead of saying like the evil temptation from evil, they kept saying evil one, like from the evil one, and like I remember after like they kept saying it, and we were like, oh, it's a bit strange, like what a weird rendition. But like towards the end of our trip, we were all saying it, and like you literally visualize it when you say it. Like, how can you let one person like take a hold of your whole salvation?
Yeah. Yeah, it's scary. He's there. He is there. He's ready to attack as well. I think is it Romans? I can't remember where it is. Maybe I can't remember where St. Paul mentions it. He says he's a roaring lion, ready to attack anyone. Don't go near him, like the whole example. And if you go close enough, he will devour you. It's crazy, but he's so annoying. And going back to what you were saying. So in like the 70s, homosexuality was seen as a mental disorder, and pretty much for all of common time, it was seen as a mental disorder until like say the 70s, and then it slowly was like, I guess it's not a mental disorder. To now let's have a parade. To now let's encourage homosexuality in the workplace. To now, I guess, any kind of letter that gets added to LGBT, and I actually lost. I don't know what it is. I'm glad you know, just because I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know anymore. So he just pushes the boundaries. He's like, how do you guys feel about homosexuality? Mental disease? All right, let's just wait a bit. What about now? There's like, not a mental disease anymore? Okay, let's just leave it at that. And then he goes, now it's accepted in society. Okay, let's just leave it at that. And then he pushes a little bit more. He says, how do you guys feel about transgenderism? Oh, too much? Okay, I'll come back a bit. And then he pushes again. What about now? Accepted. Great. How about teaching it in schools? Too much? Okay, no worries. Then he waits a few more years, comes back and says, how about now? And slowly, he's pushing. And he pushes the limits until it's normal. And that's why we are called to not be normal. To not be conformed to this world. To not be conformed to this world. Because it's not normal. St. Anthony has this great saying. And as time goes on, it becomes more and more powerful. It says there'll be a time where people will be practicing crazy things. And they will think you're crazy for not partaking in it. Look around the world today. People are doing crazy things. And it's like, but abortion, but transgender, but they feel like this, but they want this. And we're saying, no, that's crazy. And they're like, oh, you Christians are crazy. As if that's not the time we're in now. And so when we say spiritual warfare, you can't turn without seeing an attack of some kind, whether in your room with crazy thoughts, or whether you're walking in the street with like sexualities around you everywhere, or with going to having conversations with people, especially you're in school now, but you're not going to be in school forever. You're going to be exposed to people who are very, very liberal. And they're going to be saying, oh, you're a crazy Christian. You don't think like this person. This is just how they feel. Love is love. It's a crazy world we're in.
Yeah.
So what were the issues like that you guys experienced while growing up, and what do you think the issues will be in the next like 50 years?
So I remember growing up, the big push was against going clubbing. It was like this big thing. I mean, I personally hate dancing, so I have no interest. The scariest moment in my life was when I danced with my wife at our wedding. Like, that was the craziest thing at the time. It's like, oh, how could you? But there's Friday night youth meeting, don't go. People were like, oh, it's right, we'll just go Sunday night. There's this club's open. And then that was the craziest thing. And yes, the environment is what the fear was, that you'd be in an environment that's not great. Because people are like, oh, what if you just go and you're just dancing with your friends and you're not drinking or anything, but you're just dancing with your friends? Like, that's just, please, like, are you kidding? You've put yourself like in a horrible situation, but just being in the environment was what I guess the greatest fear was. Now, that environment follows you everywhere you go. It's on your phone, it's on our laptops, it's on our TVs, it's everywhere. So you guys have it a lot harder. God help the next generation. What are some of the things you guys do that you feel is effective in overcoming these thoughts?
I think always trying to put yourself in the presence of God, whether that be going to church more often, or I like putting icons in my room. It's like I'm trying to redecorate and have a, like, if you know Bunog.
yeah, nice. good model to.
But yeah, I think that's one way.
I think also a prayer rope, and I noticed you kind of
yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I have one as well.
We're sheltered in the school community for now, but I think because we've been in it for such a long time, that kind of helps us when we transition into like the next phase. So like, it would be a bit difficult, but because we already got that like community around us from before, we could like lean on that.
Definitely, they're all great. Like your environment, and I guess prayer ropes, taking your environment with you. That's so interesting. I like that. Actually, also learning to make prayer ropes is very
so tough.
It's
very
so
tough.
tough. Yeah. It takes so long.
I'll send you a link, don't worry. Yeah.
Did you make that?
It's like, yeah. Yeah.
I was gonna ask Abuna. Joseph was he was mentioning our environment stuff, but I think there's also a downside to having an environment like this, because it can make you sort of lukewarm. What is the main problem with being in that lukewarm state, and how does the devil use that to attack you?
Yeah, it's hard being lukewarm. You think it's because of perhaps the school, the people you're around, or because of...
Yeah, like you're more comfortable. You're like, I'm a Christian, I got it lucky, I'm fine, this and that, I go to church on a Sunday, and you're in that position,
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've been blessed to have served in a lot of mission environments, churches, overseas. And you see the converts are some of the most devout people. And I think they just appreciate it more. I do understand the problem. We get too comfortable and we start doing things that perhaps someone who wasn't as comfortable or took it more seriously wouldn't do. For example, going to the liturgy late. Everyone's like, oh, it's in our culture or whatever. It doesn't have to be. You're Australian. You're not Egyptian. We're in Australia. Being late is not acceptable. But we're like, oh, it's not a big deal. And I think it's that it's not a big deal thought that we perhaps need to struggle with. Like, I can muck around, I can say this, I can watch that. It's not really going to impact me too much. But perhaps that is also the annoying devil pushing little bit by little bit, getting you comfortable. Abuna Anthony Sharkawi has this saying, I'm not sure where he got it from, but I'll give him full credit for it. He says, what is optional for you is unnecessary for your children. And the point he's making is things that we might be perhaps lukewarm about or don't take too seriously, our children will ignore completely. And that's a scary thought. And so perhaps to break that, we might want to think of our children. And the next generation to come might be hard for you guys to think of your children, but mine are all out. Oh, not all out, but mine are here now. And I look at the world they have to fight against, and it's very hard for them. And if they don't take God seriously, and they don't take church and the mysteries of the church seriously, they're in big trouble. And so it can't be optional for me. It needs to be priority number one, just so they have a chance of surviving. Good luck, guys, to you and your children.
I was going to comment on that. There's a line between simplicity of life and like spiritualness and lukewarmness, because we're taught to be like simple in our actions, and like God, whatever comes from God isn't confusing. It's not meant to confuse us. We're meant to be like simple in everything that we do. But sometimes we could confuse that simplicity with lukewarmness.
Maybe. And that's the benefit of the mysteries of the church, right? We speak to our confession father and see what he thinks. Because he'll probably have a better understanding of whether this is good for you or bad for you, whether it is simplicity or whether it is just being lukewarm. For example, someone may come up to me and say, I don't care about my image, I just it's not important, whatever. And it's true, perhaps your image isn't important, but perhaps someone's just a lazy person and they don't want to take care of themselves when they should take care of themselves. We should try our best to keep our bodies healthy, our minds sharp. You don't have to look amazing when you go to church, like you don't have to be decked out, but like, I don't know, I'm going to be a hypocrite. I used to go in my trackies, but Muna used to laugh at me. And my wife definitely doesn't allow that anymore. Or now, definitely not. But yeah, having someone discern that for you can help sometimes as well.
So Bono, you mentioned, like, we were talking about lukewarmness, and like, I feel like it's because we don't get necessarily the opportunities to make, kind of life-altering decisions, like, do we go to this party or not? Like, our parties are pretty dead compared to what we're hearing. But if you were to go back on your high school years, like, what would you change to make you, like, our servants use the term, like, on fire for Christ. Like, how would you become like that?
On fire for Christ. What would I change? It's a hard question. I went to the Coptic school. I came actually to St. Mark's for a few years. But I went to various other schools.
Could you feel the difference?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I went to... I didn't know any better, so I went to a party once that was like the graduation... What's it called? When you graduate HC, you have the post-after party. So we finished school, we finished our graduation, and then they're like, oh, yeah, come to our house, whatever. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's so fun. We all graduated. I'm like, I had no idea. And so I went. And I'm just looking around like, wow, this is not a good place to be right now. And so I left. I said, hi, everyone. It was great. Nice knowing you. I left, never spoke to them again. Graduated year 12. I don't think I've really bumped into any of them again. But they used to think that myself and various others were different. And they can feel it. You might not feel it as much in a Coptic school environment, but in a non-Coptic school environment, you can see a big difference between people who follow Christ and people who don't. And it wasn't uncommon for people to come up to us who were a group of Christians and want to spend time with us, mostly when they were down. I don't think they knew why. And I think at that age, I didn't know why. But there was something attractive. And there is something incredibly attractive about Christ. And when you try and live with him, I feel you are on fire. You don't need to go out and spread, go preach and talk to everyone, but you just need to be perhaps an outlet for people. And I think people feel it more when they're in a vulnerable position, when perhaps they're sad or down or lonely. That's when they question things a bit more. I have a good friend of mine, one of the holiest people I know. He's a doctor, and he's a very, very, very good friend. And the amount of people that have come to Christ because of him is ridiculous. He's a GP, and they sit with him and they tell him what's going on in their lives. They're sick, they're this, they're that, they're separated, they have problems with their families, and they're so attracted to him without him saying anything, without him necessarily doing anything, but there's something that they're attracted to. And eventually they'll say, what is it? What do you have? What is that peace? What is that, I guess in this context, what is that fire that you have? I want it. And so he tells them it's Christ. Christ is the fire. He is the attraction. And so how do you become on fire with him? It's just to draw nearer and nearer and nearer to him. So many, there's a story of a monk who's speaking to his spiritual father, and he says, Father, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm even doing miracles now. What do I do now? Where to from here? And he said, this monk, this spiritual father lifts his hands and says, you can become totally fire. And he lifts up his hands, and his hands just light up as a flame. And that's because he was so close to Christ that he was on fire for him, so to speak. And how to do that at this age, it's really just about doing everything in your power to draw nearer and nearer to him. And it'll just happen naturally.
All right, I think we're good, Abuna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Actually, pray for us, Abuna.